Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Focal Podcast. I'm Taylor Jackson, reading you this intro, even though I'm not in the episode. Goodbye.
What is up, Focal friends? This is Sierra, and welcome back to What the Focal, the only photography podcast hosted by non-photographers, where we talk to industry experts to learn from their experiences and hear from their stories. On today's episode, we're joined by the amazing Eugene Kim, who's located in Las Vegas. Yes, we're so excited to have you on. So let's just jump right into it. And why don't you just start by telling us a bit about yourself? Where are you from? Everything like that.
Okay. I'm Eugene Kim. I'm based in Las Vegas, US. I do wedding photography mostly. I would like to say couple photography because I do a lot of engagement sessions and honeymoon as well. Just focusing a lot on the sort of like the destination and travel part of it. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. With the destination weddings, where have you gone? What are some of your favorite locations? How did you kind of cement yourself as a destination wedding photographer?
So I guess my definition of the destination wedding could be a little bit different to how other people perceive it, because the sort of like the Vegas naturally is a destination wedding location. So even though I'm not traveling, it's a destination wedding.
Right.
So like right now, like probably 90% of my clients are destination wedding clients, but more than half of it are done in Vegas still. But yeah, going back to so like California, I go there so often, so I don't really call that as a destination wedding. But I was in Chicago quite recently, 2 weeks ago. That was amazing. That was amazing city with amazing landscapes and in the cityscapes, the buildings and everything. There were so many things to just photograph. It had the really good balance of the urban, landscape with all the, lake and the stream that runs through. I don't know if they call it river or I don't actually know the terms for it, but yeah.
And was that your first time going to Chicago to shoot?
It was, yeah. It was. I've been to Chicago to travel, but never to shoot. So,
how do you approach going to a new location when you haven't been there before, and you have to shoot either like an engagement or a couple shoot or anything like that?
I think first step probably would be Pinterest and Instagram.
Okay.
Just using the tags and like engagement session in Chicago or like weddings in Chicago and Pinterest, that kind of allows me to kind of go into other photographers website and see what places they've shot and all that sort of stuff. And then because oftentimes other photographers don't like to give out their sort of like secret locations, it's a time to find those locations on Google Maps, and Google Earth is actually really helpful. And then try to find the location. And then I use an app called PhotoPill. It's an app that tells you sun location depending on time and date.
Okay.
It doesn't usually, factor in all the buildings, but I can sort of imagine like how tall the buildings are. Like, will I be able to get any light through that street at that time, and so that I can kind of plan out the timeline if I were to do an engagement session. With the weddings, kind of follows the sort of like the timeline of the wedding day. So there's not too much of a planning going on for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got started in photography, what made you choose photography, and what that startup kind of looked like?
Like startup as in like how I got into photography is I don't even know. So like it started when I was really little. My mom was really big into photography. So she always photographed my brother and I have a younger brother. I think if Instagram was around at that time, I think my mom would have done pretty well. But yeah, so she photographed a lot, and naturally, like like we're always in the photo, but at the same time, like I was curious in terms of like what she does and, like what is the thing that she's holding and, like always traveling with. And so she kind of got me into photography, and she gave me one of her old camera, like it was a film camera. It was more of a like a point and shoot kind of camera. It's not like one of those fancier film camera. So because there's no like a depth of field or anything like that, and it's she just taught me about the composition side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the way the way to explain, I guess, composition to a 10-year-old, or I think I could have been a little bit younger than that, was um she said, once you kind of look at the photo, and if you can find the subject or the object that you wanted to photograph, is a good composition. Doesn't matter where, that could be using the light, that could be using the lines, or I mean, that's something that she explained to me later. But that was just a way I practice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, that kind of grew, and then like I got into doing more landscape stuff.
Okay.
um I mean, a lot of people, like a lot of people that I meet now, like, cannot probably tell, like, but I'm a very introvert. Like, I find it very awkward speaking to people. But it's so a lot of the sort of like conversation that I have is often very rehearsed. So like
Mm.
I think about all the process, like what the question might be, and a lot of these questions that you're probably asking today will probably be a lot of the things that my probably past clients asked me. So
Right.
I've went through those before. So makes it a little bit easier to have thought about those before and things like that. But just going out into the nature, maybe hiking to a hill, or to the mountain for a sunset, that all the time, like I'm I love listening to music, but at the same time, I don't always have music in my ear. So like I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the headphones or earphones in my ear. So that always kind of a time that I can, like think about different things throughout the day and throughout the week, or some of the things that may have happened. It doesn't have to be like a major event. It could be just someone, a conversation I've had with some of my mates in corridor or at school, and something like that. So, but just having that sort of like freedom of time to think about a lot of things just really captured sort of like that love of like landscape photography. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really just the photography side of things. It was whole lot more.
It was almost like your
And
meditation. It sounds
yeah, it
like.
was a very therapeutic,
Yeah.
it was a
That's
place
awesome.
to sort of like get away. Um and and then I got married, and then my wife was like, "You're spending all those money on the camera gears anyway. Might as well make some money out of it." So I was like, and at that time, it was a really good sort of like a transition in a way, because we had just moved to Vegas from San Francisco, and
Mm.
there were a lot of Korean couples on honeymoon going to Cancun, but
Mm.
going through Vegas. So there were a lot of people coming through. So I was like, all right, I'll post something, and then we'll see if I get any people who wants to do photo with me. I don't think there will be anyone, but like I'll try. and then and then and then my sort of like idea for that was, it wasn't really a photo shoot, because I didn't think I never done any kind of portrait work or anything. So it was I approached it more like a travel package.
Mm.
Um, so like, because a lot of these landscape places, like even let's say they want to go to Grand Canyon, it's so big, and there's so many places that you can go, as depending on different times, they could look completely different. And so as like my approach was, I'll take you to places where you could take these photos, and maybe I'll take some photos for you as well. And I approached it that way, and it was more of a travel plus photography package kind of thing. And So yeah, it was literally putting the couple in the my sort of like landscape photography that I was doing,
That's
and I
very
guess it
cool.
kind of caught some of the couple's attention. And yeah, so I guess I got really into learning the whole aspect of portrait photography side of things. And yeah, that's been 6 years now.
Yeah, sounds like the
Yeah.
perfect marriage between like landscape and couple
Yeah.
shooting.
Yeah.
We love looking at your photos. Some of them are just like jaw-droppingly gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you.
Um, it sounds like you had a really like organic start kind of in photography, like you kind of just grew up with it and like shifted into photography. So
Mm.
did you ever think you were going to do something else? Were you working any jobs previously, or did you kind of just went with your passion? You went with photography.
So that's the thing, like just because I think I've been doing photography. Like I don't want to say I've been doing photography. I was taking pictures, just like anyone do these days, with your phone, like like you go around if there's something pretty, you just take photo with your camera. I mean with your phone. So it wasn't a I never thought it could be a career path.
Mm.
I until 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 I was 30, I never thought photography as a career. Don't know why, but yeah, never did. So growing up, my sort of passion always was having better way to communicate with people.
Mm.
And I've really always enjoyed the business side of things. Um, so I always wanted to be a sports agent. I love soccer, I love golf. So growing up in the UK, that was being a soccer agent is kind of a dream. It was a dream for me. So I came over to the States, wanted to learn the business side of things because whereas the US is probably one of the best countries in the world for that sort of like sports marketing industry.
Mhm.
Um, so and the process is I studied marketing first and then had to study the sports side of things, but never went to sports side of things. And I was in San Francisco, so I was already in all the tech stuff, all the IT industry, and
Mm.
doing marketing of that sort of stuff for in San Francisco was pretty amazing. So that's the first job. Actually, that's not the first job, but that's the industry that I went to. Yeah.
Nice. I feel like that marketing background probably helped a lot with you starting your own business and learning how to market yourself. Would you agree? Or what did you think you took from that marketing job?
I definitely think so. Probably I've been very fortunate that I didn't really have to think twice about, what to do and all that because a lot of a lot of photographers I meet, like going to some of the conferences at like some of the conferences here in Vegas is like WPPI.
Hmm.
I meet so many amazing photographers. Like they take some like I couldn't even go near like in terms of like how amazing those photos are, but they're not very successful as a photographer just because
Mm.
they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know what they have exactly. So I think in that sense, it definitely helped me. But I think marketing is market the way I put marketing is a way of communicating with people.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
it's so I think I think fun like it's the quite funny story is I was a marketing major, but I was never good at talking to people. So wanting when I was graduating, I wanted to learn how to communicate with people. So I took on a sales job. Um,
Mm.
Wanted to learn and wanted to challenge myself. So I took on something, or a lot of people call it one of the most difficult sales job, a door to door.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Daunting.
So yeah, and I think that taught me quite a lot. I think that's what I think I use a lot in my photography business. Like when when I say sales, then a lot of people can often like jump straight to like a car salespeople or very
Mm.
pushy sort of like sales strategy.
Yeah.
But there's so many different strategies to it. But I think some of the things that was really good learning for me is like law of average. You can get for me at that time, like I was getting like 10 no's before one yes. So like
Hmm.
as long as I get that 10 no's out of the way, then I know I was due for one kind of thing.
I love that. Yeah.
So it's like it's similar. I think it's similar in photography as well. You get so many inquiries, people just asking for prices and people, who'll be but there will be more no's than yeses. And just having that sort of, I think, mental sort of attitude in terms of like
Hmm.
what to expect
Yeah.
is a good way to kind of approach it. And I think also trying to understand what people want was a big thing in sales.
Yeah.
Like there's no point of having an amazing product if it's not good for them. It's not good. We had sort of saying in when I was doing the sales was that will help them if and only if it can help them, like if it makes sense for them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think it's a completely true with photography because there's so many different styles and so many different approach and different way to do it. Like if it's only viable, like there's no point of me trying to push the sales to get a client if at the end of the day they won't be satisfied with the work.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so those two things I think that I definitely use on a daily basis on the photography side of things. And I think that is a kind of an extension of marketing.
Hmm.
I could go into details of marketing, like strategy and all that, but that could be the boring side of things.
Yeah. Well, talking about how you mentioned, some photographers that take amazing photos but don't know how to like market themselves very well.
Mhm.
If you Do you have like three tips of advice for photographers like just starting out or maybe that struggle with marketing themselves that they could like easily implement or just yeah, what are some words of wisdom?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can have three tips or I don't know if I can
Okay,
have that
well,
many,
maybe
but
not three,
yeah.
but maybe like
But
just
yeah,
a couple words of
yeah.
wisdom.
Um, I think it's as cliche as it sounds. I think you just being you is probably the best way to market yourself. Because photography is very, you know, I think there could be an argument about like whether it's a real art or not and all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, you're the person who's taking the picture, and that your thought process goes in it.
Hmm.
Whether you've seen a good pose on Instagram or on a Pinterest, or you've seen a good backdrop on Instagram and Pinterest. The decision making is you at the end of the day, and the way you edit the photo is you as well. So I think just knowing what you want and why you're doing what you're doing is probably the easiest way to approach marketing. Like marketing, I think a lot of people, have there's different marketing for pricing, different marketing for like marketing channels, and like marketing strategy for the Instagram and Pinterest and websites and all the blogs, SEOs, and all that kind of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, I think it should start from you. It's like I know Book Focal, Focal makes amazing, like what like the websites, templates, and everything. But if it doesn't fit like your
Hmm.
personality, that eventually that lack of consistency and throughout the business operation, it's going to doubt clients in
Yeah.
terms of like as if like almost you're lying to the client sort of
Hmm.
thing. Yeah. So I think that's the probably the biggest thing. And then in terms of the more I think viable tip would be um it's something I think a lot of people at the beginning, a lot of people talk about having a free session and giving away, something for cheaper
Hmm.
price and things like that. But I think it's because at the beginning you need that exposure of your work, and the only way to show your work is to go out and photograph people, whether that's your friends and families or whether that's for someone just looking for a photograph. um, and oftentimes I think it's that sort of like free session is sort of like mistaken,
Mm.
because the free doesn't always mean free, like in the sense of marketing goes. Like it's you giving it for less price because you don't have as much of exposure yet. But if you're offering something for in return of their photo to to be able to post on your website, on the Instagram, on places like that. I think that's a good value to exchange, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people at the beginning, because it's supposed to be a job and you're supposed to be getting paid, I think a lot of people try to avoid anything for free.
Mm.
But I think it's at the very beginning, it's important to sort of like leverage that in a way
Yeah.
that you want, that you need. That like everyone's approach will be slightly different, but just being able to use that to expand your business or start the business is probably the key.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Kind of like putting yourself out there and getting yourself known before you start charging a higher price.
Exactly, and that way you get to
Yeah.
practice as well.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to something you said a little bit earlier, you had mentioned how photographers kind of like to gatekeep their photography locations. They like to keep things a little secret.
Mhm.
Did you ever find that it was a little isolating starting out in photography, especially as someone who's a little more introverted? Because I've kind of started to hear, like being on these podcasts, that it can be quite competitive and a little bit isolating
Mhm.
of a community sometimes. So I wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah. So this may sound pretty stupid coming from a business background person, but honestly don't see. I honestly don't think there should be a competition, or I
Mm,
don't really feel, uh, that I don't have any competition with anyone, because
okay.
our approach is very different from one another. Um, the photography brand that I'm building, that someone else is building, is literally just themselves. And the clients that will be attracting is could be completely different. And this is actually one of the analogy that I used in sales as well. But like if I were to do like one street, and there are like 30 houses in that one street, and if I were to knock on all the houses, and if I talk to everyone, and let's say I made 3 sales on that street, next day, like one of my coworker would knock on the same street and then talk to the same 30 clients. They would do the sales to completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
Not because like nothing else changed, like in terms of like the product that we're selling exactly the same, the type of message that we're sending to those people are exactly the same, but because we're different from one
Mm,
another in terms of personality and the way I'll make our conversation, we will do the sales to completely different people.
right.
And I think that's how it is in all kind of um as far as the competition goes. But in terms of the loneliness, yes, it is a very um, um, lonely path.
Mm,
Like you try to, because oftentimes, like I try to open up to a lot of photographers, and like try to meet and talk to people, and at least on Instagram, I'll put my 2 cents, and share like about the photos they took, and on Facebook group as well. But it feels like um I can definitely feel being a little bit more hostile environment to a lot of
mm,
people,
mm-hmm.
especially sort of like if you don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. Like if you don't really have the experience, like a lot of photographers who wouldn't really talk to you in a way. So in that sense, it can be definitely quite lonely. And that's actually one of the reasons that I attended the NARA conference,
Mm-hmm.
Focal hosted in Banff. That was all well that was already a month or 2 months ago. No,
Yeah.
yeah, almost 2 months ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that was amazing experience. And I'm not saying in a sense just in terms of like the content or the sort of like the schedule and timeline that you guys had, but in a sense that um there were a lot of similar people.
Mm,
I mean, I've attended a lot of workshops. I've attended um, a lot of different conferences as well. But the type of people that are attracted is very different to a lot of other workshops and conferences that I've been to. Um, and I mean, I think that goes. I know that I'm going a little bit off topic right here, but but I think this comes down to why I joined the Focal in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if you know, but I talked to Lachlan back in March. That was in February. Yeah, in February in WPPI. And at
Mm-hmm.
that time, I had just launched my new website. My website was what was new with Squarespace
Mm.
for almost only about a month or two. And so at that time, I was not interested in, getting another website or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the conversation that I've had with Lachlan, it was nothing about business, nothing about websites, nothing about photography industry, but just a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing the sort of thought process that he had, and the sort of things that he wanted to implement into the company, that attracted me in terms of in terms of the vision, in terms of the philosophy. And I think that's kind of the fundamentals of why Focal is attracting the type of people that you guys are attracting.
Mm-hmm.
And that approaches into that, because that attracted me. I'm sure it attracted the similar type of people that attracted sort of me as well.
Yeah.
And that's why probably I connect with more people that was there as well.
Yeah.
um yeah.
It's like almost on a more like human level opposed to like a more sales level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we love the people we attract because I agree wholeheartedly that um they're all just lovely people just like you, Eugene, where like your approach, I loved your answer to this question because your approach to photography in your business is so wholesome. And I love that quote that you said about like how you don't want to see people as competition because everyone's different. And I feel like there are a lot of people that see it that way, but there are a lot of people out there that see it as a competition. And I love the community that we've created at Focal because it is so many people just like you that don't see other photographers as competition, but as like friends that they can learn from and like chat with and all that, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I know, like I didn't actually ask them, but so I got really close to two people from the conference, and one I'm working with who is also based in Vegas, and another person, and we're actually about to launch a podcast as well.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
amazing. We're so
yeah. So
excited to tune into that. You'll have to let us know when you launch it.
so yeah, it's a very exciting to for me to get to know someone like that, um more on a just more than photography level,
Yeah,
more than just business level, and being able to do something together is pretty amazing.
that's awesome. I love to hear that. Oh, that warms my heart so much. One thing I would really like to kind of shift towards is on your website, you have a big section about the environment and sustainability. And I kind of just want to open this up for you to talk about everything that you have going on your website and that you have featured there and kind of your philosophy behind it, everything like that.
Okay. So I don't wanna sound like an activist, or like in very that way. But it's the whole motion is very. It started from very simple thing. It's just because I love going to the nature. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if you actually think about it, like all the people who work, like whether that wherever you work, like whether you work for a big corporate, whether you work for a smaller companies, whether you work for a restaurant, or whether wherever you work, whenever you want to go on a vacation, oftentimes, I don't know if it's just because I'm surrounded by those people, but oftentimes people go to somewhere into nature.
Mm-hmm.
um like you could go to like places like Europe or somewhere like that, but like oftentimes it will still be by the ocean,
Yeah.
like all the hotels that are nice, they're by the ocean, or by like in an amazing view up on the mountain, or you know and I think we get so much out of the nature,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of not only in terms of like how we can relax on, just on a hike, or, just doing a swimming in the ocean, or, just going by the lake, or just smelling the woods and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it goes even further. Like, that's my workplace.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I photograph my couples in amazing nature, going to all these, amazing national parks, that's around Vegas, like Grand Canyon, Zion,
Mm-hmm.
Antelope Canyon, and, Death Valley is also another popular spot for me, for my clients, and Yosemite, all these locations, and of course Banff as well.
Mm-hmm.
For another conference. That I
Yeah.
cannot get over the Banff place.
Yeah.
I had to spend a lot more time there, but I just didn't have time.
I know.
Yeah. So like, but it 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 sort of, one, breaks my heart that it's the weather changing is
Mm.
so much more drastic every year. Like, now people are like, we're in a stage that people are dying in terms of, stronger hurricanes, and,
Mm-hmm.
more drought, and, heavy rainfalls, and all that. And that's going to get even worse, because it's not slowing down.
Yeah.
But just because I get so much out of the nature in terms of like the work, and, delivering amazing experience for my clients, that I had to give back in terms of, um, at least to maintain. It's almost like protecting my office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I had to give back at least to slow down the process of all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
I mean, so for example, like the Lake Powell, which is like right next to, on the border of Utah and Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
which is a popular spot for an elopement, engagement session, and all sorts of different kind of photography. And the water level is just going down so quickly, and
Yeah.
it's pretty sad to see something like that, because, as someone who goes to the same location over and over again, you can see the changes. You can
Mm.
see how worse it's getting every year.
Yeah.
So so what we've been doing is, so we have, I kept saying we, but it's really I. But it seems like the company should be we, but, like, as a super is still I. But if there is a body of water in the picture, in the photos that I take throughout the whole session, then we give back to, Clean the Ocean.
Mm.
So they're the company that, they made this huge, ship or boat, and they try to intercept all the kind of, trash and garbages that runs into the ocean. They actually do the cleaning at the ocean as well, but more the stream level, because the ocean is so much bigger, and there's no body of water that's moving. It's whereas river and stream, they're moving in one direction, so you just have to catch it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're doing a really big project on the Pacific Oceans right now. In between like Canada and US, there's a
Mm.
a big patch of, garbage that's floating around. That's
Yeah.
often coming from all the fishing and all that kind of stuff. Mostly plastic waste. But yeah, so if there's any kind of, body of water in the photos that I take, then that's where we donate. And if there's any type of trees or vegetation or any of that, then we, donate to, the One Tree Planted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and all these sort of like donations that I do is very small. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but my whole approach um, is just try to create sort of awareness, sort of
Yeah.
like, by putting those things out. And I create, I usually, so I send my clients 2 weeks after their wedding or engagement session or honeymoon, um in terms of, so for the trees, they can select, which region they can plant the trees,
Mm.
or which we will plant the trees for them in the region they choose. So by having them going into the website, they get to see a little bit more about what's happening in the world. Maybe they will take a little bit more interest in terms of, like, because the website tells much better story than I can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of, like, for example, the most recent one that we did, that was to Indonesia. It was about like trying to protect the elephants that live in that region and all that sort of stuff. But like until you go and see those things, like you never know. Like with
Mm-hmm.
some of the like a lot of people say like we're doing a lot for the nature, but we're really not. And in terms of the media, like they talk about the environmental change and all that, but there's not enough action
Yeah.
that's being taken. So I only plant 7 trees per client. Why seven? I don't know. It's just a number that I came with, and it's only $1 per tree. So I'm only donating $7. But
Mm-hmm.
what that triggers clients to do is they're donating $100 or $200 even more. Because the way I word it is that um, those trees are growing with the journey of your marriage kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's literally they don't. I mean, they may not be able to go and see it, but they know somewhere in Indonesia or in Denmark or somewhere else, or yeah, California is big as well because there are so many fires. That those trees are growing with their marriage kind of thing. Um,
Aw.
so so they often a lot of couples that I talk to after seeing that they said they've never done something like that, but they do like those those donation on a repeat. So
Mm-hmm.
they will donate like every month, like on a
Oh.
automatically. Yeah. So I've seen some couples do that, and I think if I have donate like $200 per couple, then probably couples will probably be thinking, that's enough. I don't have to do more. But because I'm only
Mm.
donating 7,
Yeah.
they're probably we should do more. And
Well, it's
then
also smart because like then if they go and donate and then they mention it to their friends, like it's just creating this chain
exactly,
of more people
yeah.
that are like becoming aware of what they
Exactly,
can
it's
do.
literally a butterfly effect. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping to create. So, as a still so, I'm a still small company.
Mm-hmm.
Not one photographer can really change the world, but like it's a start. It's somewhere that we have to, I think, take action into. And another organization that we donate to is called 1% for the planet. They're
Mm-hmm.
pretty big. So a lot of people probably have heard of them. It's the founder is the founder of the Patagonia.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's been really into, and that's why Patagonia. If you purchase Patagonia products, like they don't have return policy. You can just return it whenever, if you feel like it's like if it needs fixing, they will fix it for you for free and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of
Mm-hmm.
goes along with their sort of like ethos in terms of like how to plant, protect the nature and all that. But yeah, 1% for the planet. So right now, what we're doing is 1% of the revenue throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole year that we're donating. But next year, so the sort of like a premises that I promised the clients that on my website is that every year we grow, we will be donating 1% more every year.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
so, and then 10 years after, if we grow 10 years, then it will change into profit, but just to be more sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I think one of the biggest thing, not just because of the work related stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
just because I love going out to those places, I've taken my 5-year-old son to a lot of the places as well, and he
Yeah.
loves the nature. Like all the kids, they love running around and they love the just being out in the wild. And I'm hoping, in 10, 15, 20 years time, by the time that he grows up to be, going to school and going to maybe finding work, hopefully he will have that option of doing the same thing maybe I was doing, or maybe loving the same thing that I was loving. Because at this current rate, there will be no nature to love in
Yeah.
20 years, 30 years time. So yeah, hopefully there will be stuff left for him to enjoy.
Oh, I agree. I think that's so amazing what you're doing, and I was so excited to get you to chat about it just because you made a comment where you said one photographer can't change the world. But if everyone was aware of this and everyone was interested in it, if all the photographers did it, that would make a change and that could make a really big difference. So I think it's so amazing what you've started here. And I kind of just want to shout it from the rooftops because I think it's so amazing and you have such a great mindset towards it. And it like as a younger generation, it like warms my heart whenever I see people who acknowledge kind of just the damages happening to the environment and
Mm.
actually take the steps to do something. So it just like it's so amazing to me and I'm so happy to see someone doing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I've heard from somewhere that about, like when I was growing up, probably that's it was the more attention of the world was towards the poverty, and by
Hmm.
UN sort of standard, I'm sure there are still a lot of poor countries and people who are still without water and stuff, but it's that poverty is something that can be lifted once there is I think once there is a place and people to you know I mean, the environment you can make so much money out of environment.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's this. So yeah, now I think it's about environment, and I'm sure all the schools are doing more, and all the medias are doing more to raise awareness and all that. So yeah, hopefully one day,
Yeah,
it's a long way to go, but yeah, hopefully,
it's one step at a time.
yeah.
And this is an amazing step.
Thank you very much.
What was a moment when you look back on your photography career that you really felt like you made it as a photographer and you felt like cemented in your business and you felt like you earned your title?
Um, Never.
No, that's fair.
um, I think everything is work in progress.
Hmm.
It's um, I think I don't think I'm there yet.
Hmm.
But I think the sort of like the definition of being able to having made it as a photographer is being able to um, make the decision in a way that I want. Um,
Hmm.
like for example, taking on only the wedding that that I want, or let's say taking only on the clients that I want. It's difficult to it's difficult obviously it's difficult to tell which is the right client and which is not, but there are definitely clients that I'm more excited about just because of where they're getting married, or like the type of wedding venue, or the environment that they're getting married in. And so I think once I can make that sort of like the freedom of um choices, then I think I'm there, but I'm not there yet. But yeah, it's in work in progress.
Okay, I like that. Yep. It feels like it's just always like you're trying to continue to grow and evolve. So I think that's so cool.
Thank you.
What is one thing that you think people would be really surprised to find out about you or your company that you've grown? Anything like that?
um so a lot of people, I think, um a lot of Korean people, a lot of Korean clients, are surprised how good my Korean is.
Mm.
A lot of Korean thinks that I recently moved to the States. Like I grew
Oh,
up in the
okay.
US. I mean, grew up in Korea, and so like there's no sign of me of like living out of the country for a while. And
Mm.
so yeah, that's one thing that I guess that are surprised. Um, I think I don't really know, like I think with all the other clients, like especially with the wedding clients, um I don't think there are any elements. Oh, I mean, obviously, I don't know if they get any surprise when they're reading my website or reading my blogs or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I don't know in that sense. But I think, I don't want any surprises. That's the sort of
Mm.
like a goal in terms of communication and expectancy level. Just being able to expose everything in terms of um, their sort of setting the right expectations throughout the day,
Mhm.
and about me is I think is sort of key for me in terms of a way of communicating with clients.
Yeah.
Although I think there is, I think I've been hearing this quite a lot recently. That so I send final prep guide to my
Mm.
clients like probably a week before the wedding or even 3 days before the wedding, and it includes like some of the checklist. So this this checklist even includes something like don't forget the knives for the wedding cake cutting and so very detailed. So
Yeah.
yeah, and also the specific like so all the timelines in terms of like what's going to happen, what may not happen in that timeline. This may not be possible, and due to weather situation, like we may have to change. And so I have all those sort of like contingency plans for the each plan as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of couples been telling me that they're really thankful and they're really surprised by how detailed and all the plans are.
Mm.
So yeah, no, that's been good.
I
That's
feel like
something that I
that's a good surprise though.
yeah, no, that's
You've
really
got their
really
backs.
yeah, that's something I've been loving to hear. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to finish it off with our last question here. And it is, if you could give one piece of advice to yourself when you were just starting out in photography, what would it be?
Um, Stay at my day job longer. I didn't actually quit my job just because I thought I'm okay as a photographer.
Hmm.
I quit that job just because I was sort of like starting to hate the industry where
Mm-hmm.
I was. So, and it was just sort of like a natural transition for me in terms of going into, like I thought I got some interest in doing some of the photography side of things, and I was attracting more clients. But I think if someone who's listening to this who is a wedding photographer, and if you're someone who is doing 30 weddings a year and still working full time, you're
Hmm.
doing it right. I think that's I think that's the way to do it. Not because just the financial side of things. Financial side of things is good. Like having more freedom to purchase the gear that you want, and all that is nice. And you can use that money for the marketing side of things as well. So that's nice. But I think it just comes down to workload as well. If you
Hmm.
can manage like your full-time job and at the same time do do the all the communicating with the clients, and being able to take the photos for the clients, that's something. You're managing the time right, you're managing your priority right, and
Hmm.
you're still learning. It's that's I think that's pretty amazing achievement for anyone to be doing.
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
and like I hear from I, I hear from a lot of sort of like photographers who know me on a personal level, say that I'm pretty much a workaholic, like in terms of like I work a lot. Like it does, like I mean, like, but all the photographers do, but I mean, like I think it's just I do work a little bit more than other people, but I think it's just because I didn't have that sort of freedom or that sort of
Mm.
time management skill when I was beginning. I
Mm.
had to grind it out a little bit more,
Yeah.
and all that. So I think, yeah, I think just having more steady income and being fully on board with two separate jobs is, I think, is
Hmm.
a pretty amazing thing to be doing, and
Yeah.
that will be able to expedite the whole process of being a professional photographer.
Yeah. And one thing that I hear is like when you're more strapped for cash or like you're worried about the income you have coming in, you can't be as creative. It kind of hinders your
Yeah,
creativity. So, I mean, that goes along with what you're saying 100%.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We loved having you on. This was an amazing conversation to have. So, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to say thank you for coming on.
No, it was a great honor. Like this is actually the first time that I'm doing any kind of podcast, so it's I'm very it's been very nervous
Yeah,
talk, and it's been, I don't know how it's going to come out, but very exciting at the same time. I'm
it is so
sh
exciting.
Yeah, I think the only reason that I guess I agree to do is not, I don't think, like I said, I don't think I'm there as a professional photographer yet, but I think there are people who would be able to relate to the situation that I'm in, and hopefully there'll be, more community building in that sense as well.
Well, that's the whole point of this is like we want to talk to everyone from like every level because like we just want to get people's stories out and have people be able to relate to other people that they're hearing and oh, I went through that too, or oh, I can learn from that mistake, or kind of everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, I love how this is going. So yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Eugene, would you like to plug yourself on where people can find you if they want to find you on Instagram or your website or anything like that?
Um, Good question. My website is Eugene Kim dot photography. No .com or anything, just dot
Okay.
photography. And then my Instagram handle is Eugene Kim photography. Just one word. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Would you like to put in the name of your podcast potentially
Oh,
for people to find when it comes out?
we're working on that still.
You're working on that? Okay,
so we
that's
so
okay.
we so yeah, so we have ideas for the first two episodes and all that,
Mhm.
but we don't have the name yet.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll keep the focal listeners updated.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Sierra. Bye.